You shove
Really?
something in my butt, I'll quit season too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What's
Look,
the,
I'll intubate you.
really?
I'll start IVs on you. I'll even catch you puke, but I am not swabbing your butt. That's what I draw on.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Getting 10-8. And man, do I have one for you tonight. I've got Richard Chapman, the man, the myth, the legend. He's been on here before a couple times. One talking about his 911 debut, and then the other time talking about how he could have been a 911 case. And then I have with me Miss Jennifer Bass. Jennifer was law enforcement for years and years and is retired. And Jennifer, welcome to the show. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, the biggest thing is what I tell everybody when they come on here is we no longer have to worry about an HR department. The statute of limitations are over. We can tell the stories of how it really went down now. So, um, welcome aboard. And one of the first things that I wanted you to do is kind of introduce yourself and talk about the different, because you worked all different sides of law enforcement. You know,
Yeah.
so go ahead and let us know what you did in law enforcement.
I did. Well, I was military first, and when I got out of the military and actually came back home to Hattiesburg, I was like, gosh, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. And so law enforcement was my thing. I said, it's the same structure, kind of the same structure, as the military or whatever. And so that's what I did. I started training and got ready for the Hattiesburg Police Academy and went through. I went through the police academy there, and I stayed there for a while. And Hattiesburg was good to me, and I loved working for Hattiesburg. Um, I worked patrol a little bit, and then I was a DUI officer for a while. And I'm gonna say, like, I was DUI officer, and then I moved to detectives, and then I ended my career at HPD as the assistant director of training. So I actually worked at the training academy, training recruits and stuff. But I can tell you, I think the funnest thing I did at HPD would probably be DUI. Like, I love being the DUI officer. It was so fun, like so fun. But
And you worked SVU too, didn't you? Special Victims
yeah, when
Unit.
I was in detectives, yes, I worked crimes against women and children there at HPD. And then when I left HPD, I left for a federal job. I briefly took a federal job in Little Rock, and it wasn't for me. I didn't care for it too much. The city was too big. The job really wasn't for me. And so I came back and worked as a school resource officer for Hattiesburg School District, which I loved. And I'm gonna tell you, like, being an SRO, that's like the best kept secret in law enforcement. Like,
It's
seriously.
it's the vacation station.
Man, best kept secret. I would do it all over again. And I graduated from Hattiesburg High, so I was right at home. I loved it. And the kids, I mean, I could literally walk down the hall and be like, "Who's your mama? Who's your mama?" Like, I
Yeah,
know your mom, I know your dad. Like, I went to school with them. I
right.
loved it. Loved it, loved it. And then in 2020, I went to the Forest County Sheriff's Office. And so I worked there for a couple of years, and that's where I retired from Forest County Sheriff's Office. And I went to Covenant County and did part-time work there. But at Forest County, I worked crimes against women and children. I was in investigation. So
Right.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yep, you limited out. You got your purrs and to the
Oh
house you
yeah.
went. Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah, I did.
Richard can
Mm.
relate.
Yeah, well, see, I was under the old city retirement.
Ah,
Oh.
And we when I retired, uh, I don't, to this day, I can't tell you how much, my retirement is because my wife agreed to let me retire if I did, if I did a direct deposit. And I have people that are about to retire all the time ask me, what, how much retirement do you get? I couldn't tell you. She gives me my allowance and that's all I know.
It's enough to where you get to go out of state to hunt for a few times a
Yeah.
year.
But now let me tell you, right before Biden went out of office, did you see where he signed a bill for people that were caught in a Social Security loophole that, where if you were receiving a pension when you went on Social Security or disability, you were penalized. They deducted that,
Pension from your
that
Social Security?
pension. Yeah, from your Social Security.
Huh.
You didn't know that, huh?
No, I didn't.
Well, and it's been in effect for years and years and years. And when I retired, I actually retired, disabled. And, well, I retired and then I became disabled. But, I was supposed to get like $1,600 a month. And that when they called me and said, you've been approved for disability, I said, okay, great. She said, I see you're getting a pension here. I said, yes, ma'am. She says, well, that counts against you. And it went from $1,600 to just under $1,000.
Oh my gosh.
So for about 5 or 6 years, 7 years, I, I was losing $600 a month. And, right before he left off, I'll say one good thing Biden did for me. He signed that legislation. And, so I started getting my 16 or whatever it is now, $1,700 now.
So you got a raise.
I got a significant raise and I got a year back pay.
Oh, good.
But yeah, that, they would penalize you for having that pension. And the other thing they penalized me for was I didn't pay into Social Security under the old city plan.
Yep.
So-
That was like you were working at AmServe. They didn't pay into it either.
Right.
Dang.
But-
So Jennifer,
Yeah, that's sad.
Jennifer, talking about being a DUI officer, I asked Richard this because he was traffic enforcement. I said, what's some of the best excuses you heard? But I want to hear some of the funniest stories that happened to you as a DUI officer. Did you
my gosh.
Did you ever make up spot field sobriety tests?
Oh my God, no. I didn't I mean, when I tell you I had fun, I had a lot of fun. The guys on the streets that work patrol, at that time we had net. We had the net team back then when I was there, which I wish we had the net team. Now I think they have qual now. But they all knew I was on DUI. I was out there by myself pretty much,
Right.
But so that they would listen out on the radio because I pulled so many cars over, so many. But so they all listened out for me and whatever. But no, I didn't do that. But I don't know. When I tell you I could smell alcohol, I could literally sense it. I could smell it. I had so much fun with it. I could be driving east, this car could be driving west, and I'm like, dang, I smell it. I mean, it was just something. It was like a sense or something.
If they had their windows down, you mean, or you could
Man,
smell?
I could just smell it. I mean, it was strange, but I loved it. No, I mean, I didn't do it. I love doing field sobriety. I was a field sobriety instructor. So definitely did a lot of field sobriety, but I don't know. I don't know. There are some funny stories. I mean, especially with the women. I think the women were the worst ones. Oh gosh. The women were the worst drunks.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Well,
as my daughter walks by with a glass of wine.
They were really upset that they got a female officer they couldn't try to flirt with to try to get out of this thing, huh?
Hey, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised, especially with short hair. They automatically assume they're like, "Oh my God, well you're cute," and I just automatically assume everything. And I'm like, "Girl, let me put these handcuffs on you real quick." Like, no, let me put you in the back. But yeah, I've had girls. There's always the girls trying to fight you, spit on you, kick you. I mean, they were horrible. Like the men were pretty easy. I never really had problems with the guys.
Like,
I mean,
all right, you got me.
I know. I mean, now they're the ones, they do a lot of flirting, them guys.
Yeah.
So especially, yeah, when they're drunk or whatever. But I've had some really good experiences though, doing DUIs. Um I think one reason I had a passion for it, man, because I never met my grandfather because my grandfather was killed by a drunk driver. And
Mm.
so I think that's really where my passion like came from, was that because I never met him. My dad was, I want to say he was 3 or 4 when his dad got killed by a drunk driver. And but of course my grandmother remarried and the man she married was my grandfather. That's the only one I
Right.
knew.
That's the one
But
you
I would
knew.
have liked to have, yeah, but I would have liked to have met my grandfather. And when I see pictures, I'm like, dang, I look just like him. Like we look just like him. So yeah, and my thing was getting people home safe. Didn't want didn't want them to hurt themselves or anybody else.
That's right.
So
That's good.
yeah, that's pretty fun. Definitely pretty fun. But those, man, them college students, I don't
Uh,
know. I
how
I
many
know I'm
times?
just,
How many times did you hear? Do you know who my dad is?
oh my God. Either do you know who my dad is, or I'm a criminal justice major. I'm a criminal justice major. I know my rights. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know the laws yet. But
Right.
apparently you don't know the law because you're drunk driving. So yeah. Yeah. You hear all kinds of stuff, definitely, from those college students, but half their parents don't know what they're doing down here. So,
Well,
you know.
what one of the things that with the special victims unit work that you did, um, last podcast I had on Patrick Pianezza, and Patrick was a paramedic that said he was writing a story. He was told he needed to do a short story for college to get his degree. And they said, the best thing you can do is write about something you know. He goes, oh, you want to know something? And he just unloaded and did like a 35-page
Yeah.
short story on a horrible 12-hour shift that he had just had as a paramedic.
Yeah.
Well, that sat in a drawer for years and years, and then he ends up moving out to the West Coast, and his brother is a producer there and says, why don't you do like everybody else out here and write a script? He goes, man, I don't know how to even think about writing a script. He said, well, you got that 35-page story that you had in a drawer for years. And
Yeah.
he met up with another guy, and they co-wrote the movie Code 3. And
Okay.
it is going gangbusters now on Apple TV. It's the #1 comedy being sold.
Mm.
So
Is it a movie or a
yeah,
series?
it's a movie. It's a
A
movie.
movie.
And Richard, when I tell you it's the most realistic look I had at a 24-hour shift, everything but, and I told him this on the show, I said, it was so realistic, but for you needed to throw in one transfer to dialysis.
Mm.
Because every call was all they were focusing at was the emergency calls.
Right.
But it was pretty realistic, and he was a burnout paramedic. And Richard, you can appreciate this because you were a preceptor. It's a burnout paramedic. He's quitting. It's his last 24-hour shift, and they sling a student with him. So
Oh.
he's got an FNG a ride along with him. So the and the comedy ensues, but really, if you go as a medic, as you can, Richard, and if you go as a first responder at all, Jennifer, you could go to that
Mm.
movie and look at it, and you're going to see the PTSD, how he was having trouble, he was burnt to the core,
Yeah.
and I know working special victims unit, you have some stories that did when you got out of law enforcement. Did you have to work through some of those things? Did you get them off your chest?
Mm. I don't think you'll ever get them off your chest, like, to be honest. I really don't. Like, man, I've lost many nights of sleep.
Yeah,
Just knowing that how some of these kids were abused, sexually abused,
right.
and it's going on, you know it, and it's like, dang, you never, ever forget it. Like, I
Special
mean, I still have nightmares about it. Like, I still do. So,
special place
yeah.
in hell for those folks.
Yeah, there really are. I have a couple cases open right now. I know I can't talk about, but yeah, there's definitely a special place in hell for people like that, you know.
Right.
So,
You know, I don't think I ever had the PTSD. Uh, I mean, we dealt with it, you know, with sick humor, for
Right.
lack of a
yeah.
better word. You know, everybody does it, and
Mhm.
I always felt like, you know, I did my career, and you
Yeah.
know, sure I made some mistakes, but you know, I always did the best I could, and what I thought was best for the patients and stuff. But so it never really, it wasn't like I'd have, you know, flashbacks or anything, but about 8 months ago, I had a dream, and it was just as clear as a bell. And it was a call that I went on involving a child. And I can't right now tell you anything about it because I don't remember, you know how dreams are, but that, that dream was, I relived that entire call, and I woke up in a cold sweat wondering, did I forget something? Was there something I could have done that I didn't
Differently.
do, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and it hadn't happened since, but just that one night, that one memory, and I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I could recall every
Mm,
detail of that call, you know?
yeah.
And that's the Rolodex of this head of mine too. You know, it spins up and, oh yeah, what about this? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to think about that.
Oh
Uh,
But
yeah.
uh, you know,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
we try to come up with ways to compartmentalize, and I'm sure you had to as well,
Hmm.
especially the trash you were dealing with. I mean, you were looking at true monsters across the table a lot of times, and you had to, when you were
Yeah.
investigating, when you were interviewing them, you had to act like you were their buddy to get all the information out.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna tell you, that's never been hard for me. Like, I can play the good cop. It's just important, like, when you're interviewing, it's important that you get the information. However you gotta get it, you gotta get it. And that means I'm gonna be your buddy for the next hour or whatever. I'm gonna be your buddy. Now, when I walk out of that door, I might do a lot of cussing and fussing and maybe hitting some walls or whatever, but as long as I get what I need to get, just knowing I'm about to send you to prison for a while.
Yeah,
Just knowing that. So, you know,
and hope they hit Gym
I,
Pop.
huh?
Hope they hit Gym Pop.
Mm,
General
I know that.
population.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so. And like, working those cases is so important that, like, all of us, you know, firefighters, paramedics, law enforcement, school resource, or whatever the case may be, it's so important that we work close together because we all really need each other,
Abs-
like, especially when we're responding to calls like that.
well,
So,
that's another thing that Patrick kind of talked about. He said, we asked him, said, what do you tell somebody that's getting into EMS or getting into firefighting or getting into law enforcement to help them deal with and to keep them from burning out? And
mhm,
he said, first and foremost, he said, if you need, if you're not all right, say you're not all right. He
yeah,
says, I'm a big believer in critic stress debrief, but there are times where you need to find a therapist that, it doesn't have to, you don't have to go see a therapist every day, but you need to go find a therapist that you talk to once every couple of weeks, and they ask
yeah,
you how you're doing, and will call you on your bullshit when you say, oh, the world's my oyster.
yeah,
They know it, and they dig deeper, and they help you. He said it took him 3 years after he got off the ambulance. The
mm,
next thing that he said is you've got to have some normal friends. And he said, meaning you got to have friends outside your industry. I said, well, I had friends outside my industry. I was friends with all kind of cops and firefighters. He said, no, that's part of the club. That's the big club.
Yeah.
And the problem is when a bunch of these folks get together, you'll notice they all kind of gravitate towards each other, and that's the clique that's hanging together and talking.
Mhm.
He said,
Yeah.
because nobody else wants to be around you crusty bastards, because we're telling the war stories and we got that sick sense of humor that Richard
Yeah.
talked about.
Oh, you have to have a sixth sense of humor. I agree. You have to. I'll never forget. I had to go to an autopsy of a baby, like a little boy. He was probably 2, and I was like, "Gosh, man, I didn't want to go," but someone in crime scene actually went with me, and I'm just like, "Okay, I don't even want to go." That was my first autopsy ever going to, and it had to be this little kid, and I'm sitting up there watching it, and oh, my stomach's just turning because it's my case.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what actually happened to this kid, and oh my, they're in the room and they're talking about, so what we're gonna do for lunch, y'all? What we're gonna eat? And I'm over here thinking like, oh my gosh,
Yep, that's
I
just
can't right
another
now. I can't even eat.
that's just another case
Yeah,
for them.
Well,
And
it's just
that's
another
also
case.
deflection too.
Yes.
yeah,
They're deflecting the real feelings.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of hard because I had a kid around that age at that time. So, I automatically associate my kid, because you know how it is. I mean, you see stuff like that, and man, the first thing you do when you get home at night is you go in your kid's bedroom and you hug them and you hold them, because it's like, gosh, thank God for my kids and thank God they're safe.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, there were, I mean, and we did stuff. Yeah, absolutely, Richard. Deflection. We use that humor to kind of take the edge off the scene that we're sitting here
Yeah.
looking at. Especially if we had to, you get to the house and you've got to put Spirit of Wintergreen across your mustache there to go in. And Richard, I know you know what I'm talking about.
I never had a mustache.
Or put it on your upper lip. The when it was a fatality in a house that had been there for a
Yeah.
while,
Right.
we'd put that oil of wintergreen all over our mustache.
Right.
I knew one guy that always had a pocket full of Roy Tans, and he didn't even smoke cigars, but they were his. If I got to go in the house, I'm making a smoke cloud to go in with.
Right. I'd always get a kick. We'd get a call for a possible death, and police usually beat us there.
Of
And
course we do.
they
They're the ones that called us.
we went to a hotel here down on the beach. Ain't there no more. Katrina got it, or Camille, but no, Katrina. But anyway, we went there, and the room was on the second floor. And when I pulled up, there was a cop standing at the base of the stairs going up to the second floor. And the door was open up there. And he said, "It's that room with the open door." He said, "I think she's dead." I said, "I know she's dead." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I can
Can't
smell it
smell
from
it.
here. She's dead."
Yeah.
And he said, "I still got to go up there and verify it, so I went up and come out. But I, I remember thinking, it was a young cop, I remember thinking, what do you mean you think she's dead? The smell and the look didn't give it away.
Yep. Yep. Well,
Yeah.
that's which it wasn't bad if you came across that in wintertime. It wasn't as bad,
Yeah.
but like
Unless they had the heat cranked up.
unless they had, if they had the heat cranked up with those old gas space heaters, that could be bad. Or but the worst to me was summertime.
Yeah.
When you'd go
Oh,
in there,
yeah.
go in a shotgun house and there's one door in, one door out. You could shoot a shotgun through both of them, and usually you'd find them back in that second room, and that's where they had been for a while.
Yeah, that's a bad smell. Bad.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, let's find something funny to talk about. Hell, I
I
drug
know.
us
I'm over
into a
here
dark
like,
spot.
I didn't want to drink my Coke anymore.
So
Man.
Richard, tell about a funny time where you got to deal with cops that wasn't talking about he thinks she's dead. Tell something, because I know you. I happen to know you have a cousin that's one. You got some
Yeah.
stories.
My cousin, my name is Richard Chapman, and his name is Ricky Chapman. And he was a cop same time I was a fireman. And he used to try to get me, come ride with me, because you being a fireman, you could go and ride with them and stuff. And I said, no, man, I'm not a cop. He said, oh, come on, just ride with me. I said, dude, you don't understand. I will shoot grandma in the face if she moves too fast. I'm a coward. I said, I'm not doing that. Uh, we generally, no, you talked about the camaraderie and stuff. I wanted to address that because when I was fireman and policeman, they were a brotherhood, and I ain't gonna lie, there was a couple of times when uh, I got a ride home in the back of a police car because I didn't need to drive.
No.
Uh, but the guys that are still working now, I talked to them and they said that camaraderie's gone. They said uh, the police and fire department used to be, they'd have friendly competitions and stuff, but they always had each other's back. But I hear from several people that are still out there that said now, if a DUI officer can get a fireman, that's like a feather in their cap. And so I don't know. I hope I'm getting bad information because I'd like to think that brotherhood's still there, but I've heard from several people that it's not so much.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's sad that it's like that too. It is. Well, see, it wasn't like that when I was working.
Yeah.
Because was always that brotherhood.
Right.
We looked out for each other. I mean, it ain't like that now. It's pretty much like let's see who we can get. Pretty
Yeah.
much. It
So
shouldn't
there
be
is
like
some truth
that.
to that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like that. Like
Well, and in reality, if you're out there driving drunk, you shouldn't get a break because you're a fireman either.
you shouldn't get a break. No, you shouldn't drive drunk anyway, period.
Because you know better.
But and I'm not me as being a DU officer, I'm not gonna sit here and say I haven't helped people, not just because I knew them, because there's people that I didn't know before, and it just depends on what the situation is and how everything ensued. It just depends. I mean, have I called a daddy or a mom to come pick a kid up? I have.
Yeah.
I have. Have I still said, well, I'm still gonna tow your car because you still need some type of punishment? Yeah, of course I have. But
Well, if I'll tell you this, probably the most entertaining interaction with a police officer was after I was retired. Uh, Long story short, my wife was in Atlanta. She used to travel to Atlanta a lot. And she was in Atlanta one night, and I keep trying to call her, and she's not answering the phone. She's not answering the phone. And finally, somebody answers her phone. I said, who's this? She said, this is Nurse Ratchet or whoever. I said, uh, is this Leslie's phone? Yes. I said, can I speak to her? This is her husband. She said, she can't speak right now. I went, oh, God. And she was in the emergency room. So right away, I'd had a couple of beers and I jumped in my truck and I take off to the airport because I'm gonna try to get the last flight to Atlanta if I can get over there, And it's about 9 o'clock at night here in Gulfport. And as you know, there ain't a whole lot of flights out of here. So I pull up in front of the airport and I just stop right in front of the airport. And I was gonna run in there and say, if you got a flight to Atlanta, book me on it. I'll be right back. And I was gonna go move my truck. There were two police officers there. One was a big old burly guy, and one was a little bitty Barney Fife looking guy. And before I could get in the door, he said, "Hey, you got to move your truck." I said, "Man, please, just let me stick my head in here and hey, move your truck." And I said, "Man, please, my wife's in the hospital." He said, "Move your truck or I'll have it towed." And again, liquid courage. I started walking back to my truck. I said, "Fine, I'll move my effing truck." And he said, "Come here." And I looked at him. I said, "No, I got to move my truck." He said, "Come here." And that's when I found out that in the city of Gulfport, it's illegal to tell a cop to go fuck himself. Because when I told him that, next thing I knew, I was pinned against my truck.
Mm.
And when he pinned me against the truck, I just went limp. I said, I'm not resisting. And it had my head turned sideways. And it was the funniest thing. You remember little details. When he pinned my head sideways, I could see Barney Fife over there. And he was literally reaching in his pocket.
For his bullet?
The thought went through my head. He's either going for a bullet or a mace, and I don't want anything to do with either one of them.
No.
And so anyway, they took me upstairs. There's another thing. They have a little police station in the airport in Gulfport. I found that out the hard way.
Mm.
So they handcuffed me to take me upstairs. And as we're on the escalator going up, I looked around and I said, you know what's funny? He said, what? I said, truck still ain't moved. Still sitting there. And he's, me being a smart ass, but he said, you're right. And he turned around to Barney. He said, call a wrecker. I said, man, please don't tow my truck. I've got enough problems as it is. He said, have you got somebody that lives close by that can come get it? I said, as a matter of fact, I do. So we get upstairs and he handcuffs me to a bench and he gave me my phone. And I called my cousin Ricky, who at that time was a lieutenant. He just happened to live right down the street. And he was a lieutenant of the police department. So the guy's over there and I called and I said, man, I ain't got time to explain. Just come to the airport. I'm being arrested. Come get my truck. And I hung up. So the guy, the cop's typing my information. He said, name, date of birth, yada, yada. And in a few minutes, the door opens, which the only way that door opens is if you got a key, because it's a locked office. The door opens, my cousin walks in, and the cop was over there at the typewriter, and he went, oh, and he put two and two together. So he gets up and they go out in the hallway, and I'm sitting there handcuffed to the chair, and in a few minutes he comes back in, sits down, starts typing again. I went, oh, that didn't go as well as I hoped it would go. And Ricky came in and he walked over to me and he said, I'm going to take him outside in the hallway and have a talk with him. And the cop said, okay. So Ricky's got his key out and he's uncuffing me. I said, ain't you scared I'm going to make a break for it? And he said, if you don't shut the hell up, I'll shoot you myself. He took me out in the hallway and he said, look, I got things smoothed over. You just need to apologize to him. I said, I already have at least twice. I said, I'll do it again. I went back inside, shook his hand, apologized to him, and again, I was guilty of contempt of cop. And it was the beer talking. And,
it was the beer, that liquid courage.
And you didn't make it to Atlanta.
And I didn't make it to Atlanta.
So who was in that unit?
Do what?
Who was in that unit? I wouldn't have wanted to carry him to Oshner.
This would have been after AMR.
It was in 2008.
It was in 2008. So AMR was around then, I think. But
yeah, I mean, as a paramedic, yeah, I'll tote you with all kind of IVs going, but I'm not carrying somebody that's opened.
They sure did. They were going to fly her, but it was foggy, so they put her in an ambulance and took her.
I'll be damned.
And when she was over there for about a week, and a week or 10 days, something like that. And we were sitting in the room one day, and this old man comes walking in, had a scrub suit on. He says, I just wanted to come meet you. You're the talk of the town. And, talking to her and saying, he said, we've never had a OR to OR transfer like that. He said, I just wanted to come meet you. I'm Dr. Oshner. And so
really,
she got to meet the Dr. Oshner.
Wow.
And then years later, you got to go over there. I bet you didn't get to meet Dr. Oshner.
I didn't know. I didn't get to meet Dr. Oshner. Well, if I met him, I wouldn't have known it. I don't remember pretty much 3 months of my life there.
Jennifer, Richard was working on a deer blind, a condo, the raised shooting houses.
Yeah.
Working on the roof, and got dumped out of a bucket of a front end loader on a tractor and landed on his head and broke his neck.
Oh my gosh.
And that happened in Richton. So
Oh my gosh.
AAA ambulance goes out there, and they're trying to get Rescue 7 to go get him. Rescue 7 gets tied up, can't do it, so they send a helicopter from the coast to go up there and get him. And then Richard broke his promise he made to himself in 1981 when he said he'd never get on a helicopter again, because he got on a helicopter and went to Gulfport that day.
Yeah, I bet he did.
I didn't have a lot of choice in the matter. I was strapped to a board. But I didn't, at that point, once the fentanyl started flowing, I didn't care anyways.
But
Yeah,
it's
you
not
didn't
as
care
good as
about
morphine.
much.
No, it's not as good as morphine. Fentanyl takes the edge off, but the morphine would take it away. Morphine would knock me out,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't get that. Apparently, they don't even carry morphine anymore, do they?
Nope. They don't carry morphine. They don't carry Demerol. They don't carry Valium.
Really? I didn't know that. When they stopped
They've
carrying
got fentanyl. They got Ativan. They've got.
What do they give for seizures?
I think they've got. I don't know what they're giving for it. I think they've got Dilaudid. They've got a thing for seizures that is it's an anal gel basically. That
What?
an anal gel. It's like Preparation H. Got the wand, and it will stop a seizure pretty damn quick.
You shove
Really?
something in my butt, I'll quit seizing too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Look,
What's
I'll intubate you.
really?
I'll start IVs on you. I'll even catch you puke, but I am not swabbing your butt. That's what I draw on.
I don't know that they're carrying that on the ambulance. I just know that that's an option. I work at a charity where we deal with a lot of people that have grand mal seizure activity that are severe epilepsy, along with other issues that I volunteer with this organization. And they've some of those clients, the nurses have that on standby for them there at camp if they go into a status epilepticus. But yeah, I'll never forget one night, Richard, Joe Paul and I were working. Well, it was a 24-hour shift, of course. We were working in Biloxi. Roll up on this guy, Richard. When I tell you this guy was seasoned, he was seasoned. I looked at him. He was doing all the postures right. He was moving so much I couldn't do the eyebrow test or anything on him, but he had peed all over himself. And I said, this guy's having a seizure. So I started the IV and I gave him the damn Valium. And sure enough, he quit seizing when I gave him the Valium. I said, all right, I done saved this dude. Of course, he's not conscious. We don't know who he is. Close hospital to us, Gulf Coast Community. Whoop, we run him over there at Gulf Coast Community. Well, he gets in there. About 4 hours later, we get a call to go to Gulf Coast Community and pick this guy up and transfer him to the Biloxi VA because he's a veteran. And he has, that's the only place he can get his care. So we go pick him up, and they had put a PICC line in him in that time. The line in the center of the chest.
Right.
Goes to the Biloxi VA. We take off, drop him off in there. I couldn't believe he was like, I want to get out of here. I'm going to sign out AMA because he wanted to leave the hospital. When he saw us roll in, we were taking him to the VA. He said, screw it. I'll just go back out on the street. And they said, no, you're going to go. So I said, dude, they got you here. Let's go ahead and get you over there, VA. So we carry him over there to Biloxi VA. The nurse says, did he trick you out of some Valium? I said, yes, ma'am. About 5 hours ago he did. She goes, yeah. She said, we're going to put an EEG on him. I bet you dollars donuts he didn't have a seizure. And sure enough, he didn't. But
he didn't.
no, I didn't know about this. She said, we're going to find out. So ends up, we head back out to the West Station because we were in the West Station for Biloxi, which was Fire Station 5, Biloxi Fire Department. It was AmServe Station 2. we had a little cracker box in the back of the bay they built us with an air conditioned unit. So we're in there. We had to go stand by because 104 went out on a call. So we move a little bit further in towards central Biloxi there. And sure enough, we get a damn call to the jail. And we go to this jail, and the cops go, man, this guy's seizing like crazy. And we go in there in that room and look, and it's this guy. he had got out of the VA probably 2 or 3 hours later, went and got drunk, got picked up by the cops, gets in jail. What am I going to do? I'm going to fake a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's
So,
smart.
and you know Joe Paul, Richard. Joe just looks at me and goes, I got this one, Rob. You don't need to start any IVs or anything on this. You go ahead and drive. I said, okay. So we load him up on the truck. We're going to bring him in basic back over there at Biloxi, VA. He says, take Irish Hill. I said, okay. He's on a backboard. We got him on a backboard on this thing. He said, I'm putting my seatbelt on in that jump seat. Okay. Points taken. I know what you're talking about. I'm going to get you there just as quick as I can down Irish Hill. We hit every damn pothole going down Irish Hill, doing about 50 miles an hour in that ambulance. when we dropped him off again at the emergency room at Biloxi Regional, they said, that nurse was there. She said, I told you he didn't have a seizure. She said his EEG said he didn't have a seizure.
Well, he was committed to it, though, if he's willing to piss his pants.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said when I saw that. I'm like, yeah, this dude's having a seizure.
you brought up Gulf Coast community. I can't remember his name. Who was the doctor who was an old Navy corpsman there?
Dr. Bredemeyer?
No. He was kind of heavy set, shorter than me. And he had been a Navy corpsman, and then he went to school and became a doctor, and just gruff as hell. I mean, he cussed you out in a heartbeat. You know, he was a sailor, so
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. If somebody can ever remember his name, email me, text me, and let me know, because I always think of him. I'm pretty sure he's passed away now, but I've got a great story about him and a patient in the ER, but it's pretty X-rated, I guess.
All right. We'll talk about it offline and maybe bring it up in a future episode. How's that sound?
But it's one of the best stories in the world. It's one you want to be careful telling, in front of some people.
So Jennifer, now you're talking now. Richard, of course, he's got the fire department and he's got the Star of Life there. He was a fire paramedic. He was a rescue medic. So, and when I first started, when you came to Hattiesburg, all the ambulances pretty much had paramedics in them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, down on the coast, it wasn't like that. When I first started working on the coast, Richard was like, oh, it's Richard Chapman, or oh, it's Mike Stanton, or it's Tommy Carter. All these guys, they were the paramedics. We were all basics. We had a basic and a driver in the ambulance. And the paramedic for Mobile Medic was in a Suburban. He was in a Sprint truck. And he was for everything outside of Gulfport. But inside of Gulfport, Richard was the paramedic that was on scene. And
the fire department paramedics.
The fire department paramedic, correct. And what would end up happening is they'd get there, and once Richard started an IV or intubated somebody, that was his patient. So Richard would jump in the truck, and it was his patient, and I was just his assistant then, learning everything I could from this man. And so that was the setup that we had. So surely, did you build up any friendships with anybody from the EMS side or the fire side back when you were on the streets?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it got to where went out on calls or wrecks or 1050s, whatever. Yeah, we knew each other when they pulled up. Ambulance pulled up, paramedics got out. I mean, everybody was familiar with everybody. So yeah, I think we were a lot closer. And like I said, I don't know how it is at Hattiesburg now. I'm pretty sure it's the same way. Everybody's familiar with everybody. I would like to think that.
Yeah.
So I hear stories. So
I don't know
I
if
think
it's as
everybody's close.
personal as it was back when we were practicing though. I don't know if it was.
Yeah,
I think it's. I think everybody's so busy looking at their phones today that they don't look to meet the people that they're working
to
with
meet
all
people.
around them. So
Yeah, you're right about that.
yeah.
How long were you in Gulfport? Is that where you?
Well, I started down on the coast in '85, and in early '87, I had a ambulance accident, and then I
Okay.
went to work in the Delta.
In the
uh,
Delta, a big difference.
then yeah, it was like a time machine. They didn't know that the Civil War took place up there. When I got up there, I
Goodness.
was like, "Holy crap!" So this
Oh
is
God.
a completely different Mississippi than what I'm used to. And it didn't take long. I came back and I went to Columbia. I worked in Columbia at Methodist Hospital in Mern County, and that's how they say that.
Mm,
They say Mern County.
Marin County.
Um, I worked over there on the ambulance, and then I went to paramedic school. When I got out of
Okay.
paramedic school, I ended up working in South Louisiana, and then went back to Biloxi, Mississippi. But
Okay.
the first job that I ever had working EMS was down on the coast. So like I said, when people ask me about paramedics that I grew up and respected, we're sitting here with one of them right now. Richard
Yeah.
Richard Richard was the big boy. I was just the new baby medic that was working.
But you had redeeming value because you were a big old boy.
I was a big old boy, and I wasn't
And
afraid to make some moves
and
when
I
I needed
ain't.
to.
So I always liked having a big partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a plus right there.
Because I can't fight. I can run pretty good. But
Well,
You
I,
shouldn't be having to fight on those calls, but I
oh,
know,
we
I know you see some crazy stuff. I
oh,
know.
we'd fight. We'd get in fights sometimes.
Mhm.
You know what the worst ones were? I'm gonna call you out on this one.
What?
Is
What?
when you go out to a call and they're drunk or whatever, and there was always that famous cop line. You
yep,
can either go with them or you can go with me. And I have yet to see somebody choose the back of a police car over the back of an ambulance.
absolutely. It's like in
And
that movie Code 3, they said, "What's the ABCs of police work? Ambulance before cruiser."
Hey, I wouldn't have done you like that. Now I wouldn't have done you like that.
oh,
They would have definitely been
we
going
got
with me.
done that a lot. And inevitably, when they get in the back of that ambulance, they weren't confronted with that big bad cop. They were confronted with this little skinny ass paramedic, and they want to get cocky. And uh, yeah, I've been in a few fights. Uh, I'm I'm batting 1,000. I ain't never won one of them. Uh,
Gosh.
I mean, I
Mm,
held my own,
Yeah.
but uh,
yeah.
yeah. Now, back then, now you got to remember this too. Now, this was back in the day of Rescue 911 and all that stuff, and what Emergency, the old TV show
Yep.
Emergency,
Johnny and
and
all.
we had the Life Pack 10s, and when you
No,
charge the
fives.
paddles up,
Fives.
5s, yeah. I think we went to 10s while I was still active. But
Y-
anyway, we had the life packs that when you charge the paddles up to shock somebody, they made that zinging noise. And everybody, whether you were in EMS or whatever, everybody knew what that sound was.
Mm.
And I had one guy just beat the living shit out of me one night. And we, thank God, I had TJ Hill was backing me up. And, huh?
I remember him.
And TJ come in there and just picked that boy up and threw him all over that house before we finally got him strapped down. So we're on the way to the hospital, and TJ said, "You want me to go?" I said, "I got this." I got him in the ambulance and now he's unconscious. You know, they would become unconscious. Of course,
Yeah.
you do the eye test and they flutter. And so
Mhm.
he was laying on that stretcher and we started out and I took them paddles and I went, hit that charge button and it went zing. And I leaned down next to his ear. I said, if you so much as bat an eye, I'm going to knock you in the middle of next week with these paddles. You hear me? And he didn't move a muscle.
He stayed
all the way to the
unconscious for the
hospital.
whole trip for you, huh?
Whole trip, he stayed unconscious.
Did you do the
Oh my God.
Did you do the drop test?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cops just love to do that. You either go with them, you go with me. We just, as soon as they said it, we just rolled our eyes like, yeah, kiss
Yep.
my ass.
We just got a ride. That's right. That's right. We just
Hey,
got more
we
paperwork.
didn't want to do paperwork. That's all it was.
Well, no, you just made us do the paperwork.
I know.
And
I know.
we had two different sets of paperwork. We had to,
Mm.
as the medic, we had to do the patient report, but the driver had to get the billing information and everything and get how they were going to get this thing paid for.
Yeah.
And you know, back then it wasn't uncommon for them to go in there, sit down with the receptionist in the ER and copy their information right off their paperwork, which I'm sure was a violation of the HIPAA Act.
Yeah.
But it was common practice to go do it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
let him give it to one person, and then we'll just copy it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
That was pretty common
yeah.
practice. But I mean, on that report, it had nothing to do with what any of the medical treatment was.
right.
That was
Right.
just billing information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was a
It
HIPAA
was
thing.
still a gray area.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jennifer, were you like first responder trained or anything, or they didn't bother to do that?
Mm-mm.
No?
No, you mean what? Like, as in what?
As,
Just like basic first aid and that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like CPR, first aid, and all of
You
that. Oh,
probably
yeah,
had that
yeah.
from military, I would imagine.
Yeah, I learned that in the military, but we definitely do that too. Going through the academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely do that. Man, I'm gonna tell you, I have brought a many of people to the emergency room, like for DUIs. You
Right.
know, they don't want to blow. They don't want to do the PBT. They don't want to do field sobriety. They won't blow, but I know they're like totally impaired or whatever. So, man, it didn't take me long at all to get a search warrant for blood typed up at all and haul them to the ER. But some of them patients, golly, they couldn't hardly hold them down to get their blood. Like it was bad.
yeah.
Did you ever get one that you thought was a DUI that turned out to be a diabetic?
I never have. But I mean, I've heard stories, but I never have personally. So,
I mean, it has happened.
yeah.
But and then of course the policeman, as soon as they found out that they said, "Oh, he might be diabetic. You better take him." Yeah. Thanks a lot, Gornflow.
I have gone to the Gulfport jail and picked up somebody that was a diabetic that needed his D50, and that's why
But they put him in, booked him as a DUI.
Yep.
Mm.
Well, there was a guy in Long Beach. We used to go to him 2 or 3 times a week. His blood sugar would get low, and you'd swear he was drunk.
Yeah.
Mm.
And he would fight you every time. And but of course, after a while in Little Bitty Long Beach, everybody knew him, so they didn't bother. They'd still have to send cops because it'd take probably 2 cops, a couple firemen, and everybody on the ambulance to hold him down and get the IV in and get the D50 in. Then once you got the D50 in, he was as nice as he could be. But buddy, when his sugar got low, he got drunk and ugly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've heard stories, but I've never personally dealt with one. But it's crazy how that can happen.
Yeah, I mean it's the exact same symptoms
Yeah.
a lot of times.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I had a cousin that worked in Gulfport. Seymour, you know Seymour? You ever heard of a guy named Seymour? I think he ended up being a detective in Gulfport.
When,
What years?
how
God,
long?
I don't even know what year. I want to say he's not there anymore, but he was there for a while.
Seymour. Doesn't ring a bell, but I probably, if he was there in the 80s, I crossed paths with him because
Yeah.
there were nights, there were times, now back then, Gulfport Fire and Police were fairly small departments.
Yeah.
And there were nights when, on a Friday night, they might have 3 cops for the whole city.
Mm,
You know, they'd have one in the east, one in the west, and one roaming.
yeah.
So we got to know all the cops really well,
Yeah.
you know. Uh,
Yeah.
Well, like you said, we all rolled together on the calls.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
That's like that podcast T-shirt. You see, there's a cop car in the lead, a fire truck behind it, and an ambulance next to the fire truck. They're all going to a call together because that's how we rolled back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know.
I said I'll never forget one time we got a call to an unknown medical emergency. We go up in North Gulfport, and we get there, and it is a working woman, and she is OD'd. And the guy that OD'd her, they were in the process of, I guess they were swapping drugs for favors,
papers.
and it ended up that when he OD'd her and we got called there, the ambulance, we get there and we're up there by ourselves, and up comes the manager for this young woman, and the manager and the drug dealer got in some discrepancy over what was going on, and shots rang out, and we're in the apartment with this woman.
Really?
And, yeah, and I'm trying to get vitals for her, and the paramedic was Tipton. You remember Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Tipton's medic. he was there. I'm getting him a set of vitals, so I've got the stethoscope in my ear, and I don't hear him biting. And anyway, it ended up that I'm sitting there trying to get this blood pressure, and I feel something pulling me down. I look, and it's Jeff. He's down on the floor pulling me down. I said, "What the hell?" And he's on the radio hollering 1099, 1099, 1099. And as soon as he did that, the dispatcher said, and this isn't any of the dispatchers that we know, Richard. I don't know who this was, but I think she was new. She said, "What's the nature of your 1099?" And about then, the shot started ringing, and he just held the microphone out the door, held it so she could hear it. And it didn't take long. We were covered up with fire, police, and everything that they could get our way came, and they took care of that situation.
Oh,
Well, you
my-
know, for a long time, I was partners with Pat Sullivan,
Oh yeah,
which meant that if anything happened anywhere in the city,
you were
didn't
going.
matter if it was a shoot, huh?
You were going. You had to get your picture took.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. And I mean, one day we were on a rescue truck at a Central, me, Pat, and David Bragg, and we're driving. We were on Tea Garden Road, and of course we had all the bands, and the PD put out a call for a armed robbery just occurred. Give out the description and vehicle, and Pat said, "That's it. That's it. That's the vehicle right there in front of us."
Mhm.
I said, "Well, call it in." And he reached down. I thought he was reaching for the microphone. He hits the lights and the siren.
He's going to pull
And
him
he
over with
pulls
the
them over.
ambulance, with a fire
In the
truck.
rescue truck. In the rescue truck. He pulls them over, and they pull over. And there was 4 guys in the car, and on each side of the rescue truck in the cab, there was them little SL20 flashlights. I'm sure you remember them.
Yep.
rechargeable flashlights. There was one on each side. I happened to be riding in the middle that day because there was three of us in the truck. And he pulls them over and they stop and he throws the truck in park and he jumps out and grabs one flashlight and David jumped out and grabbed the other flashlight. And I went, we're fresh out of flashlights. I'll just sit here on the radio and narrate what happened. And they literally pulled over a car full of armed robbers and held them for the police to get there. And
Oh my gosh.
I said, I guess I'll be the lone survivor telling them what happened. I don't know, but with Pat, you would go to. It didn't matter if it was a skint knee or a gunshot, mass shooting. You were going to be there.
Yeah.
But,
Yep. Man, I want to get in Pat's picture box.
Oh, what, his photographs?
Yes.
Oh, God.
He's got pictures of all of us from back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I've got a scrapbook full because I think he just loved to see me suffer and he'd take pictures of me every chance he got.
Hey, did y'all have anything like for new paramedics, new firefighters, your newbies, like your new guys that came
The
on?
FNGs.
Like, did y'all play any jokes on them or make them do any?
Oh,
any
yeah. Richard, I'm going to let you.
No. You tell it better.
Hazing or anything? Because
Right.
I mean, the police departments, they do it bad. So
Right.
I didn't know if you guys did that.
The Station 1 at Mobile Medic in Gulfport was a old funeral home. So it depended on what group of hazing, who was working as to what the hazing was. Typical hazing that everybody got, they tried to get me with this. They'd have somebody go mess with the chains that had the pulley that they bring the bodies up and down. Because they did the embalming and everything upstairs and they did the showing downstairs. So
And upstairs is where we slept at.
Yeah, that's where we slept. That was our quarters. And they would go rattle the chains and that and stuff like that. We had those old military bunk beds, you know, the metal beds. It's got the U channels that the two pins fit in.
Yeah.
It looks like two hooks, and the frame sets on those hooks, and that's how they make. Well, they would like take your bed, flip that thing over, flip your legs over where you weren't actually in the hooks. You were just riding on there, and when you got in the bed, it would collapse. And then they did that to me. Timmy Hargrove did that to me when I was new. And it didn't, I got in the bed so gingerly, it didn't fall over. And he's like, and he kicks my bed. And then finally the foot went down, but the head didn't. So I got Curlex to a couch one night. That's always fun. They Curlex you to the couch. If you fell asleep on the couch watching TV, Curlex you to it and then have dispatch tone you out for a call. And you're tied down. You can't do anything. Because dispatch is right across the way. But the best prank that I ever witnessed, one night this new guy came in, and we're all acting like we're going to sleep because we know what's going to happen. It's happened before. And this guy's sitting over there, and we told him, we said, look, this guy, man, he's a good medic, but good Lord, man, he's always, taking care of business. He's always, so just if he does it, just act like you don't know what's going on. So he's over there, and all of a sudden in this bed, you see this, just the covers going up and down, and he's going, oh, and that new guy's freaking out. He's going, hey, stop, don't do that, man, don't do that. About the time he would freak out like that, covers fly up, and Richard, yes, the guy down below you, Richard had a 60cc syringe with mayonnaise and warm water, and he'd hit it and shoot it across the room at the guy on the bunk. I thought I was going to, I kept Richard from getting his ass whooped that night. I had to run block for him. I thought he was going to kill you, Richard.
I can neither deny or confirm that story.
Oh my God, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, oh, he come out of that bed. Now, he wasn't that big a boy. I probably could have held my own with him.
But
He, he was mad and I was laughing so hard I couldn't fight.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you another one we would do is we'd saran wrap the toilet.
Oh gosh.
You saran wrap it and put the lid back.
Yes.
That when I was me and Sandy were teaching EMT courses, the students would come and ride with me on the rescue truck sometimes, and they'd be at the station, and we had a female student come, and we saran wrapped the toilet.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
it's one thing if you're a man.
Yep.
It's one thing if you're a man, but if you're a woman, you're getting a thorough washing. And I got her with that, and she took it pretty well, actually. Of course, the fact that I was her instructor, she probably wasn't going to say too much. But,
So
yeah,
so,
saran wrap.
so what kind of
I'll tell
hazing?
you,
Go ahead.
I'll tell you another good one. Do you know what DMSO is?
Mm-mm. I don't.
It's a horse liniment. They rub it on horses for sore joints and stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's a clear, kind of like Vaseline substance. And when you put it on the horse, you have to wear gloves because it will burn you. It will set you on fire.
Mm.
Like atomic
And-
bomb.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Joe Paul. I got Joe Paul with that when at the old Central Station in Gulfport. I went in there and he like clockwork. We'd come in, we'd do formation, drink coffee, and then he was heading to the bathroom with his newspaper. And I went in there beforehand and I rubbed that DMSO all over the toilet seat. And
Oh no.
oh my God, he sat down and he was sitting in there, and we were around the corner listening, and all of a sudden, what the heck? Holy shit! Oh shit! And he come out of that stall, his pants down around his ankle, and Joe Paul was a big old boy,
Yeah.
and he come out of that stall with his ankles around his pants.
His ankle around his thing.
Yeah, pants around his ankles, yeah. And mix me another one, Molly. You're making fun of me. And ran to the shower. So yeah, that was another good one. But
Oh yeah. That is good.
they tend to frown on using chemical warfare now.
So what about on the law enforcement side? What was the hazing that y'all could get away with there? Because y'all weren't piled up at a station. We lived together.
Yeah.
We were like roommates for that 24 hours. So it really was. We were like a family when we worked together.
Yeah.
Law enforcement to
Yeah.
us was always the cousins that came over for Thanksgiving but didn't bring anything to the table.
No, that's because we knew y'all were gonna have all the food there at those stations. Like we know y'all are gonna be cooking. We know where we're gonna eat at. So
Yeah.
That's
we
right.
always had to stop by. Yeah. Y'all do have some good food though at the stations and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we got nothing else to do.
I know. Look, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
Except you did, because you were look, the engines may not have had much to do, but the rescue crews did.
Well, back then we were learning about 85% of the calls in the city.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And but now in Gulfport they did away with rescue trucks.
Yeah, they got paramedics on all the ambulances now.
Well, no, they got EMTs on all the engines, and I think certain truck. I think the you know what a quint is?
Mm-mm.
It's a pumper with a ladder,
Okay,
extendable ladder.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. I think the way they do it is all the engine companies have EMTs and all of the quints have paramedics or something like that. I
Well,
don't know the exact configuration.
But what I mean is, with AMR down there, every truck has an ambulance now. I mean, has a paramedic on it now.
Right. Yeah, that's a novel thought.
Yeah.
Mm.
But back when I started, there just weren't enough medics to do that. It was a
I think
necessity,
I've said
though.
this before. When I got my paramedic license, I was told that there were 17 paramedics in the state of Mississippi,
Yep.
and I think
12 of
12
them were
of
down
them
there.
were on the coast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's the way it was back then. So, what kind of pranks were y'all able to pull in law enforcement, Jennifer?
Oh gosh. Well, see, yeah, we're totally different because like you said, we don't live together, so we see each other on our shifts and a lot. But well, some of the things I can tell you when you're going through FTO, you better know where you're at all times.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Oh,
because
yeah.
any given time, I mean, and really it's a training technique because at any given time, if your trained officer's like stops at a four-way, where we at, where we at right now, where we at, if you can't answer what cross you're at, you got to get out.
Right.
I mean, you get out. I mean, just a lot of stuff. But God, my guys, they did me so dirty. Like when I first started out, I will never forget the things they did to me. But I look back on it now and I'm like, that was so funny. Like when I see them, I'm like, remember you put me through that window? Like, I don't know, it might have been 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And we don't know any better. We're just starting off law enforcement. We don't really know the ropes and how everything is. And so I know there's probably like 3 or 4 of us walking around Hall Avenue, John Street. I don't know if you guys know. It was over by the police
I.
department.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, we were walking out there because that's what they said that we did. So I said, okay, well, we'll walk and see what we can see or see if we can what we can find out.
They
And
just
they
sent
said,
y'all
hey,
out walking, wandering around the neighborhood.
yeah, well, the guys who I was on shift with, because I guess I was the one that was going to get pranked that night. And so the thing was, there wasn't a call that came out on the radio, but one of the guys said, "Hey, I just got a phone call from dispatch." But yeah, so they said a call. They had didn't want to put a call on the radio, but they called them on the phone and said that there was some suspicious activity in our house, in an abandoned house, and we needed to go check it out. And so we got to the house and it was pitch black, man. But there was a window in the back, maybe open like this. They was like, Bass, you're the smallest one in the group. You're the smallest one in the group. We're gonna have to put you through the window first. So just get in, clear the house, and then go to the front door and open the door for us. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like I gotta go in that house and there's suspicious activity in there. You're sending me through by myself in a window to clear the house. And they knew there wasn't nothing going on. And they knew I was safe, but I didn't know I was safe. Man, I don't think I've ever been so scared. I was literally like shaking, trying to clear the house. Yeah, they got me through the window, but it
Flashlight and
was,
weapon.
oh my gosh, it was awful. Yes. It was I was scared,
A,
man.
a
And
good.
they were at the front door to laugh at you when you
They
came
were
out.
at
Huh?
that front. I made it to, oh yeah, I cleared the house.
Hey,
You couldn't
it's
even step on the floor. It was so nasty.
look. If they would have come up with that prank, if Richard and them would have done that to me and sent me in that house, I wouldn't have had the gun. So they'd have had somebody in the house to jump out and grab my butt to make it
Oh,
even
and
worse.
yeah.
That's the way it would have been with us. They knew better than do that with you. You'd light them up.
Oh yeah. See, there wasn't nobody and I'm sure before they put me through there, I'm sure somebody went and checked that abandoned house.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm sure they did, but
now when did you go through academy?
2007. I went through
Okay.
in '07. So
Okay. So
yeah.
okay. Yeah. So it wasn't gonna be a wheel gun. You were gonna have that 17 or 19 on your side.
Yeah, that's what I had. And I'm like, my God. But they did stuff like that. I mean, they sent me through a house saying they got a call one night. They got a call that some paraphernalia and some 1069 was in a residence. It was reported and it was supposed to be hidden under a bucket. But again, it was 1, 2 o'clock at night and they had us out walking in the neighborhood. And it was an abandoned house also. It had us out walking. And yeah, sent me in the
Again?
abandoned house. Steve Hartley did that. I don't know if you know Steve Hartley. I love Steve
Yeah.
Hartley. We worked together at HPD. We ended up being detectives together. But yeah, he sent me through that house again to find the bucket and I found the bucket, but it was crap underneath the bucket. It wasn't paraphernalia. It was human feces underneath the bucket. Yeah,
And
when I
they
turned it
knew
over, I
that.
almost
It was probably
yeah,
Hartley went in there and put it in there for you.
everything was planned. But man, I mean, we had a good time. It was a good time.
I can tell you that I learned my lesson about trying to prank cops because the first, mobile medic office, I don't think you ever worked there, the one on 28th Street.
No, I was always down on second.
I was there one day and I heard, Bill Markopoulos, who was my paramedic instructor, but he was a cop. He pulled in the parking lot and somebody had told me he was deathly afraid of snakes. And he
Oh
is.
gosh.
I can verify that. Well, I went out in the shop and I took a pillowcase and threw a radiator hose in it and tied it up. And he was just getting out of his car and walking across the parking lot. And I came running out of the shop holding that bag up. I said, Bill, look at this snake we just caught. And he drew his weapon and drew down on me and said, Richard, I will shoot you if you take another step. I mean, that joke died right then and there. I was like, holy shit, he's really going to shoot me.
Absolutely. Look, I'm going to tell you, and I work with snakes, and I do community outreach where, and Jennifer, if you ever want your kids to come through, I can bring them by the lab on a weekend, and I'll give them a tour of all the animal species that they might come across here in South Mississippi.
Oh
But
yeah.
But that's one thing I never do. I ask people, do you want a chance to hold this animal?
Mm.
And if they say no, and if I see somebody I can always tell the ones that are afraid, they're the ones way back in the corner, not getting anywhere near me. And I never push them because that phobia, those people will hurt you.
Yeah, that's serious.
Yeah, that they will hurt you. And
Yeah.
have a reason when they sit in front of the judge to say, well, he was coming at me with a snake. Yep.
Yeah. I hate
Just-
snakes.
But that's when I learned cops, you don't play pranks on cops because they carry guns.
That's right. That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Poor little new EMTs didn't have that benefit though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I hate snakes.
well, look, y'all. I had a great time, Jennifer. It was great having you on here. I hope you'll come back on and be with us again.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It
Look,
was nice meeting you, Jennifer, by the way.
It was nice meeting you too. I hope I meet you in person one day. I'm sure I will.
You can watch my video on YouTube.
yeah, he's been on a couple of episodes here,
Okay.
and you can watch the 911. Look up two boys lightning struck. Rescue 911.
It's
Okay.
Lightning Lads is the name of it.
Lightning Lads. I'll look it up tonight. I'll look it up tonight and watch it.
It was two.
I'm a
kids.
lot better looking then.
Yeah, you actually had some more color in that hair and more of it.
Yeah.
Folks, thanks for coming along and thanks for sticking around this long into the video. And if you've made it this long, why don't you go ahead and mash that like button? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button while you're at it and notify us well. That helps us out. Also, if you have any ideas or have anybody that you think would be a good guest to have on this show, you can email us at gettin108@gmail.com, and I'm not going to spell all that out because it's right down here in the bottom of the screen. Y'all can see it. Just write that email down. Shoot us an email, and we will answer as quickly as we get them. Y'all take care. Have a great week, and come back and see us again next time.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.